Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB Bikini Pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Today, we are speaking with the Ben Weider Natural Pro Qualifier overall champion who started her journey in 2022. And after a year of all first places in the shows she competed in, she then took some time off and came back with the same fire in 2024 to earn 4 overall titles, making it an undefeated season. She's not just a successful athlete, but she has a house full of kids and also rescue and foster animals with her husband, who doubles as her best friend. And he's also a competitor, I've learned today. So welcome to the show, Brittany Ramsey. How are you doing?
Oh, great. Thanks for having me today.
It is my pleasure. I'm so happy you're here. And I like to start off every episode by asking if there's anything you do, think about, or maybe a ritual you have right before your heel hits the stage.
No, I'm actually probably more of just like a little panicker. I'm like, okay, just breathe and put your blinders on, get out there and try to not shake. And that's probably all that I have time to do before I walk out.
Yeah, I love that. Now, who's sitting behind you?
This is Daisy May. She was my foster fail. She's the only one that I have not been able to send off on transport. I adopted her. So she follows me. She's my little Velcro baby.
Oh, she's so sweet. I always fail to mention that these podcasts are on YouTube too. So if you guys want to watch them, go to celestial_fit and you can see how cute Daisy May is, just sitting behind Brittany, all cozy in the bed. Is so adorable. So yeah, you have to basically get yourself relaxed and shake the nerves out before you get on
Yeah.
stage. Something that I think is really great about you and I love hearing is journeys where you have a full life and you're crushing it and competing. So let's just start with how you make it all work. Like, how do you make the most of both worlds, being a wife, a mother, and also a very successful competitor?
Well, I typically get up really early in the morning. I wake up about 3:30 and then I go work out at 5 or 5:30. So I kind of get that done super early before anything else in the day. And then if I have cardio, I'll go back and do cardio later in the day. So then it kind of leaves my afternoons free for all the kids stuff, evenings for, sports, all the things just around the house and with the animals. And then I think that kinda, puts it all together.
Does your husband go to the gym with you in the morning?
So, no, our gym schedules are pretty different except for on the weekends. So, on the weekends, I'll go back for my second time when he goes to do his lift. Um, but I go so early in the morning, and so we kinda, do a tag team. He does the great thing by, helping me get the kids on the bus in the morning, and so I go ahead and, go to the gym, get that out of the way, and then I do all the afternoon and evening stuff. So, he typically goes to the gym whenever his schedule allows, later in the day. He does construction, so, his day-to-day is pretty different and all over the place. He doesn't really get to say, okay, I'm going to the gym at 3 o'clock every day, or oh, I'm going to the gym at 4. Like some days it's 2, some days it's 5. It's kind of just whenever he can fit it in.
For sure. Yeah, my husband's a construction manager. Well, he's called a superintendent, but he works for a home builder out here. And we were just talking the other day, like we were getting in a routine of going to the gym in the morning together. And he's like, and now I got to be on the job site a lot earlier. It's just not going to
Yeah,
work. So things change. And I think it sounds like you guys have really developed a good teamwork approach of how
it
you do
works. It's
it.
it's pretty it's pretty smooth.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like, ugh, we don't see each other a lot, like we're passing ships, or do you maintain a pretty good like consistency with that?
A little bit, but okay, so I had a job up until maybe like 2 weeks before Ben Weider. So I've always worked, and then we just built a house out in Houghton, and so we're kind of like not right in the city anymore. And then now our kids are at one's in elementary still, one's in middle. And then I've also gotten a lot more active with all of my foster and rescue dogs. So it's like, even though I'm not working now, my day is not any
Oh,
less busy. But it's nice because like we moved out close to where our business is. So he's like 6 minutes around the corner, when he goes to work. Now, he has to go to job sites a lot, but like our office is right down the road. So I get to see him in passing like throughout the day. But then I see him in the morning before he goes to work, and then he'll come back and get his gym stuff. And then if I can go back with him, I do, or if I can meet him, I will. And then I see him all evening, so it's not too bad.
that's good. That's awesome. Now, as far as you guys go, I mean, he's your best friend, and you guys are a joint, like you are a joint family, right?
Correct. So he has two children. Um, they're my stepchildren. And
Yeah.
then I have my niece, who's not my biological child, obviously, but if you ever look at any of all of our family pictures, there's always, always three kids. So it's
Yeah.
his two and then my one. So
So you have your niece. Are you like responsible for her?
I do not have her full time, but before we moved over to Houghton, we lived right down the road from my parents, and so my niece lives with my parents, and so she was at our house probably 80% of the time. And then everything that we do, she's included in. So it's like all of
Oh.
our family vacations, all of our family photos. So everybody assumes that she's mine.
I really did assume that she was
Yeah.
yours.
She looks like me, she acts like me, so it's not hard to believe.
Yeah, and you obviously love her so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
At I think it was Cajun Muscle. So like my family came down to watch the show and support, and then I won my class, and then I won overall, and so they give me all my goodies and all this stuff, and then like I walk off the stage, and then my husband comes back there, and then Grace and my niece comes running back there, and she's just like bawling, crying, and I'm like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And she's like, "I'm so proud of you." Everybody
Aw.
said she stood up in her chair and started screaming, and she was just like shaking, crying. Nobody
Wow.
could figure out what was wrong. And she was like, "I knew my Tia was gonna win." So it's like
Aw.
just cheerleader.
That's so awesome. She's just like, oh, she was overwhelmed with joy
She's so
for you.
great. Yes. She cracks
Oh,
me up.
that's so amazing. I love that, especially because it's been probably really nice for her to gain friends through your husband's kids too.
Oh yeah, they're like peas in a pod. Yeah. It's so funny because they used to call themselves the girls would call themselves twins.
Uh-huh.
And they're like polar opposite
Yeah.
looking. And people would be like, "Wait a minute, you're not twins." Yes, we are. I'm like,
Aw.
they're soul twins. Soul twins.
Exactly. I love that. That's so sweet. So what was that like for you to like enter that type of dynamic and have it evolve over the years?
I mean, I love that. Like I love, I don't have any children of my own. So it's kind of nice because I've gotten to be there for like all the different age brackets, like everything from like newborn all the way up to now we have a middle schooler who is grown. So
Yeah.
it's like, I've kind of gotten to experience all of it, and I love it. There's been some learning curves for me, obviously, but doing all the classroom things, being there for all the field trips, like making the little treat bags and all the stuff for like all the things. I love doing that. So it's been fun.
That's so awesome. How did you guys meet, you and your husband?
You know, if so we're always discussing this, like, how did we actually meet? And I swear he slid into my DMs on Instagram. I swear that is how it initially started. But I think we also had mutual friends and had
Uh-huh.
like passed each other in groups like over time. Um, and I feel like all that's a blur. Like I don't remember when we actually very first met.
Wow, just kind of running in the same circles.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, you guys are obviously just so adorable. Recently, I mean, not so recently, but somewhat recently got married, 2 years.
Yeah. Almost 2 years ago. So
Yeah. And it was such a beautiful thing. I was going through your Instagram and I just thought it looked like such an amazing time. And then I
you did
was
so much.
thinking, yeah, I was even thinking too, like, you started competing the year before that. So was the reason you took time off for like wedding planning and
Yes. Okay. So I started I did my one little year of competing and then we got engaged while I was competing. So it's kind of crazy. We spent my engagement trip and like, with my family and everything and I was on prep. So we were like up there in the mountains like skiing and I'm eating like sweet potatoes and chicken out of my
Mhm.
pocket while everybody else is eating all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Um and so then, just like through all of the wedding planning, I want to eat the cake. I want to go like test out all the menu, do all the fun stuff. So took some time off, got married, did our honeymoon, did all that stuff. And then I was really just training lifestyle. Like
Hmm.
I didn't have any set goals on like if I was going to compete again or when I was going to compete again.
Oh
And so
wow.
like I had my coach help me get ready for my wedding. I was like, I want my arms and my ass to look really good in my dress, and then we'll just go from there. And then that kind of led into one thing. And then I was like, you know what? I think I want to compete again. And so I was actually going to compete in the IMBA,
Oh
PMBA.
really? Hmm.
I was not even going to go back to NPC, not for any reason. It's just because the coach that I had, that's where he was competing, and so that's where all the other girls that
Um,
trained around me were competing in, NFF and IMBA, PMBA, and I was like, maybe I'll just like hop into that and kind of see how it goes. So that was what I had originally set out to do, and then life happened. It just didn't work, and then my husband decided he was going to get ready for his first show in the NPC, and he was doing Cage and Muscle. So I was going to be going down there anyways, and I was like, why don't I just hop in? And so we decided like 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half before Cage and Muscle happened, that I was just gonna do it and just try to get warmed up and see how it went.
really?
And it went great, obviously.
Yeah,
So
seriously.
then it was kind of like on to the next. And then my husband wanted to do Beach Bash. And so I was like, well, I'll just do it with you, you know. And then while we were there, kind of got talked into Texas Natural. And then when I won that one, they were one of the big incentives was like they paid for your admission to Ben Weider, and so I was like, I don't know about a national show. Like I never had that on my radar. Like I don't know if I can do that. And then I did, and that turned out awesome.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like one thing that just like spiraled into the next.
And that's so incredible. It wasn't like you were necessarily gunning for your pro card and on this.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah, you're
I
just like, I like
I
doing
didn't
this.
see that happening for me. I mean, not that I didn't want it to. I just, I mean, I feel like there's so many people who put in years and years and a ton of time, like a ton of effort. And it's like, I definitely have made all my time count and I definitely
Mhm.
always give my best effort. But I just assume that's kind of one of those things that doesn't really happen quick.
Which is interesting because you were living a fit lifestyle. Like you had gone to the gym and kept training even prior to competing, weren't
Oh,
you?
yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not really a lazy person at all, and then I just definitely, I don't want to look bad. I don't want to feel bad, but I like to be active in the first place. So, I've always kind of worked out and trained.
So even though you weren't working out all those years for bikini, you were looking to achieve that look kind of on a just a feminine female level.
Right.
And then it happened that you stepped on stage, did really well, took a year off, got married, and then you came back because your husband was competing. And even though you were thinking maybe you'd try a different league, you ended up doing really great in the
Yeah.
NPC again. And then did some of these natural shows. Then you got your pro card. So now you get your pro card and then you're like, so I actually did it. What was that like for you?
So that was really wild. I wasn't expecting that. Like I was, looking around at all these girls and I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to win my class. Like let me just get through this and like not be super nervous up there. And let me see what the feedback is and kind of like what I need to do to really come back and get on a national stage. Because I just didn't expect it to turn out that great.
Yeah.
And then I won my class, and then I was like, okay, in the overall, and I'm looking at all these other girls, and I was like, oh man,
Top two,
okay,
right? It's top
here we.
two gets the pro card, isn't it?
Mhm.
Okay.
And so then they started calling, the fifth and fourth, or I don't even remember. It was all kind of a blur. And then they were like, your overall new IFBB Pro. And I'm like, me? Like what? And so I just remember getting up there and like they were, live streaming and they had me like waiting and I didn't know what to do. I think I just crossed my arms in front of me and
I
I was
love
just
that.
like kind of like nervously swinging, like what just happened? And my husband's like, in the crowd screaming. And I was like, did that really just happen? And then afterwards, it was kind of just, like surreal.
Mm.
It's crazy.
Yeah, now you're in the pro league, and this year there's a lot of, and it's kind of crazy how your journey's worked out too in alignment with the natural competitions that are expanding in the
Yeah, no,
IFBB.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, so is that kind of the path you see yourself taking, is continuing to compete in the natural ones?
That's what I want to do. So I think, I've been kind of like watching all the shows that they're announcing. I'm super excited. They're doing a lot more naturals. Um, because like let's just be honest, there's only so far you can really advance when you're mixing like natural versus enhanced girls. Like it's just a different
Mhm.
look, and it's maybe some of those looks I could achieve, but it would take me a really, really, really long time. I still have lots of work and lots of things to work on now. But I want to stick with natural as much as I can. But I do believe that at some point, if there's a show that can help me get to the next place that I'm trying to go, and it's a, not necessarily a natural or a tested, and I feel like I could hang, then I would jump in that as well.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a great approach. Now, being a natural athlete is, I think, very admirable. And I don't have anything against people who aren't, but
Same.
me being natural too, I'm especially inspired by someone like you who's managing a lot outside of the sport and who's done well in the sport. What did you notice backstage? You said you were looking around and you're like looking at these girls and you're thinking, oh my gosh, like what was going through your head that you were actually seeing visibly that made you maybe question your ability?
Well, it's not, I don't know that it made me question my ability. My husband and my coach, they're all like, you are so silly because I always go into shows and I'm just, I mean, I'm not very big headed. Like I'm like sizing everybody up and I'm like, oh my God, like don't make
Yeah.
eye contact with anybody. And I just like sit in my little corner and,
Oh,
I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm kind of like a panicker. I don't know why I'm that way, but that's just how it happens. But I mean, honestly, at the natural shows, I've been really impressed with the caliber of some of the competitors. I mean, Cajun Muscle, Beach Bash, and then all the shows I've done in 2022, those were not natural. So, you see all different extremes. I mean, I feel like you see girls who, in my opinion, probably didn't do everything that they needed to do
Hmm.
to do a show, and then you see and then you see girls who are like highly impressive, and you can tell like they have been busting their butt, putting everything on the table. And so I was really impressed just looking around at all the natural bodies. Like, okay, these girls are getting drug tested, they're having to do the polygraph, which is so intense. I've never done one of those.
Tell
And
me what it was like.
um
What was that like, by the way?
it is crazy. So I'm a nervous and like fidgety person in general. And like I'm always moving around. I can't stay still. And you sit in this chair and they strap this thing around like your chest. And then they put these things on your fingers. You're in this blank room. And then they tell you to keep your like feet flat on the ground, which I never do. Like, I can't do that. And then you can't tap your fingers or like move your fingers. Like you just have to keep them still. And I'm like, the idea of having to keep my entire body still is this is not going to go well. Like, there's no way. And then they're like, don't take any deep breaths. And I'm like, and they're like, also don't hold your breath. And I'm like, so what does it do? I'm
Yeah.
just trying to like, okay, relax, but it's hard to relax, and then they make you read through this list and they ask you questions and then it will ask you some of the same questions like again. And I'm like, did I get the answer wrong? It was only a yes or no question, I know I didn't get
Yeah.
that wrong. So it was just kind of crazy. And then at the end, she was like, was this your first polygraph? I was like, yeah. She was like, I can tell. She was like, you did great. You passed. I was like,
Aw.
okay,
I'm
let me get
assuming
out of here.
because she could see like some of the changes.
I guess. I don't know. She didn't really tell me, but you just hear these like beeps. And then, it's just the computer reading these questions off. And you're just like, it's like, do you, have you ever done anything illegal in your whole life? I was like, no. And then I was telling my husband and my sister, and they're like, you've never done anything illegal? I was like, no, I don't think so. And they're like, you've never sped, you've never walked across the street when the walking sign wasn't up. I'm like, that is not where my mind went. I'm like,
Interesting.
so I answer the question, and in my head, I answered it confidently, like didn't
Yeah.
feel like I had ever done anything illegal. But I guess when you spell it out like that, maybe I have. I definitely speed. So, you know, maybe I'm a liar. I don't know.
You're like not illegal, like where I should be in federal prison.
Right. So, I mean, I guess, but I'm sure I don't really know how the polygraph works, but
I don't know either.
it's a little intense, when you have never done one.
Did they ask you? So first of all, I'm assuming it's just you and one other person in the room.
Correct.
And then did they ask you like a series of baseline questions like what's your name, stuff like that?
Um, they did ask me that, and then they have you read through like it's a laminated piece of paper, and it has a lot of information, I guess, just about different types of like things like Ozempic, different types of drugs or diuretics. What do you um just like different kinds of things. And so you read all that and you fill your name in the blank. So it says like I so and so, and then it's like you go through a long list of things that you've never done. And then it starts asking you questions. Some of the questions are pertain to things that are like listed on the paper, and then some of them are just random things like, have you ever done anything illegal? Do you often lie to um, avoid taking or to avoid consequences for your actions, or like just questions
Wow.
like that? And so, I guess it's just I don't really know what they go off on their screen, but I mean, I know a lot of people got disqualified from the polygraph. I
Yeah,
mean,
I wonder, did you get to talk to any of those people and see
I
they,
don't know who it was, or I don't
yeah.
really care, but
Do they do it the day before? Sorry, I'm asking a lot of questions. I'm
no,
curious.
it's fine. So you schedule it. It's supposed to be done the day before, but I noticed that there were several people, which blew my mind. Coming up. saying, I didn't make an appointment. And they're like, we're all booked. And it's like, I can't imagine going to a national level show and not
Mm-mm.
having your spray tan booked or not having your polygraph booked when you know you have to have those things. Like,
That's crazy.
yeah. Because
Do
if
you
you
have to
don't take,
pay for the polygraph?
I don't remember how it goes. I think you do. Like you pay for it when you pay for your entry fee.
Okay.
Um, it's like I want to say it was maybe $75, and I think that covers the drug testing and polygraph. I don't remember exactly how much, but you do pay a portion, which is fine. If you win, and you're drug tested, it's like I want that to be the standard that everybody's held to. So
Exactly.
it's like it kind of hopefully whittles away the people that are not natural.
That's what I was just thinking too, because I didn't know that there was a fee. I didn't know that there was scheduling. I didn't know how that worked. And so I'm imagining there's other people learning with me. And I think that it would probably um serve as like a regulator.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, apparently there were still people who maybe didn't do everything they were supposed to do or didn't do everything the natural way that they were aware of and got disqualified. But, for overall, the majority of people are probably not going to try to cheat the system. I'm sure you'll have somebody every now and then who just has to, but most people are not gonna, because how much would that suck to like win and then be drug tested and they're like,
I know, I think about
you
that.
don't get the title anymore.
I also think one of the things that I really think is unfortunate is that with the introduction of so many natural competitions and opportunities, for some who have not been lifetime naturals to use that as an opportunity for them, and kind of work the system, that kind of makes me sad as someone who is a lifetime natural. I'm like, just like stay in that zone. We'll stay in
Yeah.
this zone. Or if you're gonna combine, you know what I mean? And that's again, I'm not well, actually, in this case, I don't care about offending anybody because I just think that's morally wrong, to do that and to
Right.
lie about that. So in that case, if I'm offending you, maybe that's okay. But I would say that's the one area that I think a lot of people had objections to when it came to the natural competitions. Like, well, how's it going to be regulated? There's coaches that know how to work the system, but the polygraphing, I think, is probably one of the ways that they do that.
Right. And then so, you do the polygraph in advance. And just from hearing all the girls backstage, like I I don't honestly know how many people were disqualified, but I know that there was amateurs and pros that
Mhm.
I don't guess could pass it.
It'd be nice. I'd love to talk to them, honestly, just to hear their experience with it. I also think too, that's something that hasn't been accounted for maybe is the level of stress that that can create. Did you experience a physical response to some of those feelings, like not being able to move a lot or not like having to sit still? Did that create like a physical response that was seen by you or your coach that had to be addressed?
I don't think I really had any. I didn't. It didn't change anything for me other than just like I was freaking out.
Yeah.
I was freaking out, and I was like, I need a drink. Um, I didn't know it was just it was just new and it was, it's like, it's intimidating.
Yeah.
Uh, but I mean, once it was done, I was like, okay, that's done, on to the next thing.
It's kind of like you drive up to a DUI checkpoint
Yeah.
and you know you've not.
Freaking out, not because you have anything to be guilty about, but just, it's like if my husband always makes fun of me. Like if somebody ever puts me in the spotlight for something, or like if I get asked questions, or like when I get pulled over, for speeding or something, like I just naturally start panicking. And he's like, "What are you like? It's fine. You're okay. Chill out." Like I just go on defense because I feel like, no, they're trying to tell me I'm doing something wrong or bad.
Yeah.
Like, ah,
Oh, well, did he have to prep you for the podcast? Was he like, "You're gonna be fine"?
So no, I actually have like, so I think I casually mentioned it to him. And what's so funny is like I have been telling him for a while that it I hate to be recorded.
Yeah.
I don't like being in it's so weird. So out of the whole competition thing, the hardest part for me is being on stage and like having everybody look at me. It's like it's very
Mhm.
nerve-wracking for me. But I've always wanted to make a video about fostering, because I feel like there's not a lot of people who are aware of how it works or what it does and how many animals it really saves. And so I'm like so passionate about that. And I just have not been able to bring myself to like make a video. And I kept telling my sister and my husband, I'm like, I'm gonna make a video soon about it. And I haven't. And so like I was like, we're just gonna see how this podcast goes. And then I guess we'll go from there. So I've been trying to like, okay, don't think about it, don't stress out. It's fine. And it's
That's
good. It's going fine. So I'm
yeah.
excited. I'm happy I did it. So thanks for having me again.
Oh, of course. And honestly, too, I think it's a form of exposure. It seems like
Yeah.
for you, you're like, okay, a little bit of a confidence boost. And now I want to ask you, because you did just bring up fostering and this being something that you are really passionate about and something you want to encourage others to consider. So tell us why you foster.
Well, so I don't really in any city, it doesn't really matter what city it is. I know down here, all of our shelters in Louisiana, I live in
Mhm.
Louisiana, all of our shelters are kill shelters. So like if they're not adopted or picked up in 30 days, someone doesn't take them out of the shelter, they just euthanize them.
Wow.
And
30 days?
so,
That's a very short time, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. And so it's kind of sad, because you have hundreds of animals dying every month for no legitimate reason, like not because they're aggressive, not because they're very sick. I mean, you have everything like full litters of like newborn puppies being
Mhm.
euthanized, like great dogs, every kind of designer breed you can think of. And so it's sad. And so what I do is I foster through some of the rescues here that partner with rescues up north. And so I will volunteered to foster. And sometimes I mean, it can be as short as like 4 or 5 days. So like sometimes these dogs only need a place to crash for a few days. Now sometimes it can be weeks or months, and you can also split that time with other fosters. And you don't really have to give them much. It's just a little bit of like a safe space to lay down. These they provide all the everything that they need: kennel, food, appointments. You don't have to pay for any of that. It's literally just letting them stay with you and, giving them their food, taking them out to the bathroom, simple things that anybody can do. And it saves their life. So, like, I follow all mine until they get to a rescue up north. And then this last one that I just sent off, she was a little one-eyed pit bull puppy. And her name was Kyla, and she was a fireball. I just got the message this morning that she was adopted up in
Oh,
Maine. So like it's rewarding too, because it's like, then you see pictures of a family or a little kid, or maybe sometimes it's a single, older male or female, but gain a companion. And it's like, ooh, all together we did that, like
wow.
that animal just needed a little chance and then they got it. And like, you don't have to be willing to keep them forever. You don't have to teach them and do all the things with them. It's just whatever you can, whatever love you can afford to give, and then just a little bit of patience and a safe place to sleep mostly. So
How'd you start doing that?
I always wanted to. I was always the animal lover. Like I have always wanted to. I used to bring home animals all the time, and I honestly thought that you probably had to have a lot of money to foster. Um, I didn't know much about it, and I just kept seeing all these dogs on Facebook, like through the local animal networks. And my husband was hunting, and so he doesn't leave me very often. And he had gone to Kansas and I was like, if you stay gone any longer, you're going to come home and I'm going to bring home some more dogs. And so then he ended up having to stay longer because he didn't kill his deer in time.
Yeah.
And so that night I just happened to be scrolling on Facebook, and there were these three Great Pyrenees puppies that were found in this field, and they were like, they one of them had been burned. Um,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it was so sad. And so they were looking for someone to volunteer to keep these dogs, and it was going to be for a short term. And so I think it was 2 weeks. They were already committed to a transport. And so I was like, here's an opportunity, and it's only 2 weeks. I'm like, babe, can I get this dog? And he was like, sure. And I was like, he said it. He said it once. I'm not asking him again. I went and picked the dog up. He came home. The dog was there. And I was expecting maybe a little like, oh my God. And he was just like, I knew it was only a matter of time, until you brought one home. And thank God my first foster was like a dream dog. He was
Oh.
the sweetest thing ever. And I've had them of all different kinds, all like crazy, wild, uncontrollable. But I've also had so many great ones. So I got into it kind of on a whim, and then it's just like I didn't really want to go without a foster. So like when we have trips planned or we're going somewhere, I try not to take on a new dog. Um, but anytime I know I'm going to be home for a while, it's like I'm on the search for like, what's my next little pup?
Aw. So what's something that you wish you knew when you started fostering, but maybe you overlooked or you didn't know that you're like, I think other people need to keep this in mind?
I don't really have anything bad or negative. Like I've had a great experience fostering. I think just understanding that all a lot of these animals, that you're getting, they maybe never experienced love. So it's and I so my big thing is I typically go for the medical dogs or the ones that are like really messed up or maybe not the cutest because I feel like those are the ones that are like overlooked the most. And I'm like, that's the one I want, the one that probably nobody else is gonna want, you know. So you just kind of have to understand that like they're in a bad position, but it's crazy how much they all melt if you just give them a little bit of attention and love. Like
Aw.
I've not had a bad dog yet. I had one wild, but he just didn't know any better. Some kids beat him with a hammer and split his face open. He was a pit bull, and he had this like Harry Potter looking scar down his
Mhm.
face, but like he had so much character. He was just big and wild. But he's since been adopted. He's been trained. Like I still follow him now. He's doing great.
Oh,
But so it's just understanding that like you're not always getting the cute cuddly puppy, but they all blossom. So like it's cool to
wow.
watch their little journey.
That's really amazing. Is there anything like someone who's thinking about fostering, is there anything they need to do to like prepare their home to be able to qualify?
So if you rent, obviously you have to be somewhere that it allows pets. Like you can't live in an apartment complex that does not allow pets. So either you can own or rent, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to have a fence. You just have to
Hmm.
be willing to take your dog out on a leash. You promise that you're not going to just throw them out in the grass and like let them take off. But no, I mean, well, I guess there might be things like if you've ever surrendered an animal before. I'm not
Mhm.
sure if that disqualifies you or not. I just know that's something that's on the application. But you don't have to put any money up. You typically are asked for vet references. So, like for any previous animals you've had or any current animals you have, they just want to know that your animal's in good standing and that you have, you know, kept your animal up to date on vaccines. Um, and that's really kind of it. Like they will set all the appointments for you. You have to be willing to come pick them up and then drop them back off to transport or take them to any of their appointments, but they work with you on time. And they pay for all of this with donations. So like they don't ask you for money, but if you want to help, especially the animal that you're fostering, and you want to donate towards their health certificate or their transport costs, you can. But more than anything is like what they need is fosters. So like that's a crucial piece of the puzzle that gets an animal to safety. So like even if you don't have money to donate, that's not a big deal. If you can give the dog a home. But I mean, like I said, they'll provide kennel, food, leash, everything that you need. So I mean, you'll just want to like, pick your shoes up off the ground if you have a chewer. But I mean, that would be kind of something that you would
Yeah.
do naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So maybe the what's the term I'm looking for? Maybe the misconception, that's what I was looking for, is that you need to have all the money to take care of these dogs. But the reality is you're preparing them for transport to a loving home and you're the stopping place in the
Right. Just a stepping stone. Yeah.
Wow.
And so here's what I get all the time when people find out that I foster, they're like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't give them up, you know? And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, like I had to tell myself that going in, like, I'm here just to be a stepping stone, you know? Because if I can get one out the door to the next person that's going to get it to its, best life, that opens up a space for me to bring home another one. And then it's kind of cool because at the same time, all my personal dogs, they get to have like this little rotation of friends. They learn, new things, whether it's like just learning how to be around different personalities of dogs. Same with my kids, like I have different foster dogs I bring home that they really connect with, some they don't. But it's kind of cool, to just introduce everybody.
Yeah. Do your kids like to get involved too?
They do. They love really just, loving on the animals, but what kid doesn't? I've had some great ones. I've had everything from little tiny puppies to really big dogs. I've had a bait dog that was like just all torn up. All of his teeth were ground out of his mouth. Um, like it's terrible. And he was the most loving, sweetest, easygoing dog I've had. My husband's like, we might keep him. I'm like, no, he told me I can't keep anymore. I kept Daisy and that was it. So supposed to be fostering only.
Why did you keep Daisy?
So she had a huge tumor on her neck, like a ruptured tumor. Um, and she was like high heartworms. And I saw her pictures on last call, which is like when they're about to euthanize the dogs, if someone doesn't come pick them up immediately, basically. And so I volunteered to foster her, and she was the most scared dog I've ever been around. Like, if the wind blew the wrong way, she was just so shut down and so terrified of everything. Um, and she was like so skinny and just skittish. And so it took a long time to like get her to come around. I think we've
Mhm.
had her for it's maybe been 8 months before she even came around to my husband, and that's her living here full time. Like, she does everything with us, and when it was time to send her on transport, I was so scared that she was not like, 8 months is a long time to still not have to still not have adjusted or be comfortable or open up, and I just didn't want her to go somewhere and sit in a shelter for a long time because she wasn't willing to open up. She's not the dog who's just happy to see anybody. She's just scared. So, I was gonna send her, and my husband came. I was a mess. I was crying. I was sick. My husband's like, "Just keep her. Let's just keep her. She's a good dog. She's a great dog. I mean, we've had no problems with her. Um, and she loves everybody in the family. She loves my other dogs, and she's my Velcro dog for sure. She needs to be right by me, and then she's fine. So we kept her, and it's been a great decision. So she was just the one that I didn't. Every other dog, I'm like, okay, well, somebody will love something about them, and they will be fine. And I was scared that no one was going to give her a chance.
Aw. So she is like your soul dog.
Yes.
That's so sweet. And do you feel like, because a lot of people say that when they rescue a dog, they feel like the dog rescued them or that the dog knows they've been
She
rescued.
knows for sure. Like
Yeah.
she is, like I was saying, she's very fearful and timid. If I'm right there, she would take on a rhinoceros. Like she is not afraid of anything as long as I'm right there. It's so crazy. I mean, you can have guys working
Wow.
on the floors, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And if I'm right there, she's so calm and like has no issues.
That's
So
so awesome.
yeah, and I tell Brad all the time, I'm like, if anybody broke into our house, like even though I have a German Shepherd and several dogs and all this stuff, it's like Daisy would be the one who would tear them apart before they got a chance to get back here. Because she's not gonna let nothing happen to her mom.
Exactly. Daisy's like, do you understand why I'm here? It's
Yeah.
this woman. I need to protect
Yes.
her at all costs. That is so amazing. So
Yeah.
you do have other dogs right now, currently that you're fostering.
So I don't have any fosters at the moment. I just sent my last foster off right before we took this birthday trip to Chicago. Right before Christmas, and it's been the holidays. So I'll be getting one soon. But right now I just have my personal animals. So I have Daisy May, and I have a Frenchie named Livy Lou. She travels. So everywhere that we go, she flies with us. And then I have Rocco Taco, who's a German Shepherd.
Wow.
And he was from a rescue litter. And then I have a cat, Lakin, who I also rescued and had, I don't know, gotten attacked by something as a kitten, and like his jaw was like hanging off and
Mm,
um, all messed up. And so I rescued him out of a tree at my mom's house.
wow.
And we ended up keeping him.
You're
So
like
it's a
Snow White.
zoo.
Yeah.
It's a zoo here.
That's so awesome, though. I am most surprised with the fact that a lot of the times I think an objection to fostering would be, well, what if my dogs or my current animals don't get along with the foster? What would you say to that objection?
It's well, I mean, I guess if you had I'm really lucky that all of my dogs are pretty easygoing and calm. Now my German Shepherd, he's 8 months old, so he's still puppy and he's big puppy. He's got like puppy energy. So that's been like I just do it kind of slow. And I let them get accustomed to each other before I let them just have free interaction. But I mean, that's kind of how it would be with any animal bringing in. Like you just there's some I can just let them meet right away, and then there's some I do it slowly and kind of like let them both know. I'll keep one in a kennel, one out. I'll maybe feed them near each other while one's in a kennel and one's not. Or I'll do like supervised time where I'll allow them to be in the same space and just kind of see how they. But I mean, I haven't had any issues. I've not had any dogs fight each other or anything like that. So it's
That's
been
really
good.
cool.
Which I mean, you can pick what dog you want to foster, but you also can do meet and greets, if that's something that helps you as well. Like if you have animals and you want to take your dog up there just to see before you commit to bringing this animal home, you can do that.
Wow, that's really amazing.
Yeah. So
Love that. And so you can choose the dog that you foster or
yeah,
any type of animal. It
yeah,
sounds.
you can choose anything. You can choose seniors, you can choose small, you can choose big, you can, go make sure that they get along with your dogs or your kids or, whatever you need, really.
That's
There's
awesome.
tons of them. There's always dogs that need help. So, everything's available.
Are you a competitor looking to make mental gains and further your personal development? Are you struggling with the post show blues or feeling the pressure of prep? Maybe you're lost somewhere in the middle and not sure what's next. If you really want to make peace with food, your body, and your goals, then I highly recommend you check out my competitor card deck, which can be found at www.celestial.fit/cards. This is a free resource for competitors, and the deck includes 3 different series. One is affirmations and I am statements, another is the thought provoking question prompts that you could journal on or just think about, and the last deck includes action steps with specific mentorship that is going to support you in those areas of which I just mentioned. So, whether you're looking to feel better in your own skin, develop a healthier relationship with food, feel more motivated, connect deeply with yourself, or really get into your mindset to bring you closer to your goals, then these cards are for you, and I would love to see you utilizing them. Again, you can visit www.celestial.fit/cards to download yours right away. Yeah, I love that you're an advocate of this. I think you just dispelled a lot of maybe myths or concerns or misconceptions too. So hopefully this does help you make your own video, or I'll even send you this video if you want to clip it for yourself, because I feel
Okay.
like just, yeah, you answered so many questions. And is there anything about fostering that you would also like to share that maybe I didn't ask you about?
Um, no, I mean, I think that's kind of the gist of it. But I mean, I'm always welcome to, if anybody has any questions, to reach out to me and I can answer what I can, or I can point them in the direction of someone who could.
Yeah, that'd be great, because I think a lot of people probably just don't know where to start. I
Yeah.
think the first step is probably the scariest or the hardest. Like,
It's just looking at your
thing.
local animal networking, following your local rescues and shelters and message them, ask for an application, and then go from there.
That's great. Okay. So I'm gonna backtrack just a little bit
Sure.
to the undefeated streak that you had. So this was in this most recent competition season. You went completely undefeated, which is awesome.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. And what do you think? Because I know this is probably going to be a hard question for you to answer, but what do you think sets you apart from others on stage?
I honestly don't know.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't give me an example of like what that would be.
Maybe you're like, judges have said my stage presence is really great, or maybe I got the overall because my conditioning was always like a leg up, and that's what they were looking for.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't know that there's anything particular that sets me apart in my eyes.
Hmm.
So I don't know.
So, what has been some of your feedback over the years, or maybe even at the most recent show?
Just growing. I'm on the smaller side, and I need they would like to see more glute density and more leg development. Just all around. Um, that just takes time. So I'm working on it.
What's so crazy though is you are very conditioned and muscular. Like when I look at your videos, your stage photos, everything like that, I'm like, holy moly, look at her tie-ins. She looks very conditioned. So what goes into your preps? Like describe a prep for you from a nutrition, training, cardio standpoint.
I am always really surprised whenever I talk to other girls about like what they eat and how much they're eating. I guess I eat a lot. I get to eat a lot the whole time. And so I remember even like going in, like even on my peak week, like going into shows, I mean, I eat a ton and I don't ever have to do low carb. Um, so that's kind of cool. We actually, we've tried that and that backfires on me. That doesn't work well for me. Um, I don't my body doesn't respond to that.
Mhm.
But I get to keep a lot of food, and I mean, I love to eat and I love to cook, and so I kind
Yeah.
of know how to cook my food exactly how I love it. So prep food wise is not hard for me because I'm not ever starving. Like mine and my husband's prep are very different.
Really?
Like he's hungry, he's cranky, he wants food. Like I get way more food than he does. And like, as it gets closer to the end, and I'm like, how are you surviving on that? Like I would die. Um, so nutrition wise, it's not very hard. And then cardio, I do all my cardio on the Stairmaster, which
Hmm.
I just like the stairs. The treadmill's boring to me. So I don't know if maybe like Oh, I just got a Stairmaster. My husband just got me one for Christmas.
Really?
Super excited about that. It'll be here tomorrow, actually. But I do all my cardio on the stairs, and I like to do cardio. I like to keep my cardio in. So I freak out when my coach starts to like chop it down really low. I'm like, no, I'm gonna get fat. He's like, you're not. Just do what I tell you to do. So I mean, I listen. And then training, I am kind of like a go, go, go person. I don't like to take breaks. I don't take rest days. That sounds terrible. Like, I want to go to the gym every day. So I typically do go to the gym pretty much every day. Like, I think out of my entire competition season this past year, I think I maybe took like 2 days off the gym through all those shows.
What?
And that was through either being sick or like traveling and just unable to get to the gym.
You love it.
I do. I do.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So if you're working out every single day, what does that look like? Is it like shoulders, glutes, back, like
So I've always done so far. I mean, we've always done a little bit of everything. So like I'll have a quad day, a ham day, and then a chest day, shoulders, back, arms. I've done all of it. But I think that now coming into this pro season and like getting the feedback that like they want me to just keep my upper half kind of how it is and they want to see some growth on my lower half. I think we're going to probably adjust that to like maybe doing three, maybe like a ham, a quad, and a glute, or I'm not really sure
yeah.
how my coach is going to kind of piece that together. That's what I love about being I I like so I'm always thinking. My brain never stops, and I'm an overthinker. And so I love training with a coach for the sake of I go in there and he just tells me what to do,
Yeah.
and then I just do it. So I kind of let him be the mastermind behind all that. Same with my food. Like he tells me what to eat, and then I just do that. Like I don't want a lot of options. Don't give me don't do all this, just tell me what to do and then let me do that. So I think, but I think going into this year, I think we're gonna try to hit hit the bottom of me a little bit more, and maybe probably take out the chest day.
Hmm. That's really awesome. I love that you were able to be rewarded for what you've been doing, and then now you can make some adjustments. And I agree, having a coach is great, especially
I
for
love it.
beginners,
Yeah.
because you're just like, tell me what to do, I'll do it. And if you trust them, it's
Yes.
easier. Like I remember when my coach was like, "Okay, we're only gonna train like in my last prep anyways, we only lifted 3 days a week towards the end because I had to do so much cardio."
Yeah.
And he's like, "You can't do all of it." And I was like, "Okay, I trust you." But then, improvement season, when he told me I would only be training like 4 days a week, I remember being like, what do I do with my time on the other day? But I was also so happy because it gave me so much more time in my personal life and my business that I was like, this is
Right.
great. And so I think everybody kind of has a different approach, a different way they like to do things. So you're like the kind where you like to work out daily. And I know a lot of people who they feel that if they work out every day, it's like it just keeps them in that routine, that rhythm, that mindset. And I'm wondering if for you, there's anything you do on a consistent basis for like your mental, emotional, spiritual side of things that's been really helpful or works for
Just
you.
I'm a structured routine person.
Yeah.
So like I get up at the same time every day. I get up at 3:30. Like I have a routine that I do every morning. I like to go to the gym at the same time every day. I eat my breakfast at the same time every day. Like
Yeah.
I'm such a nerd when it kind of comes to that stuff. So it's more or less like I'm a list person. I write everything out, and then I literally check it off or scratch it out through the day. And so that's what I do when I eat my breakfast and drink my coffee in the morning is I make my list for the day. And like it's so silly because I still write workout, cardio. Like I still
Hmm.
write what I'm gonna do
Same.
and then I scratch it out when it's done and I don't know, it's so satisfying to me. So I mean it's just something that's kind of become my routine and I love it. But I mean I don't go in there. So our workouts are short and sweet.
Hmm.
Like get in there and get to the point. I don't really stay in the gym for 2 hours doing my workout. Now, it might be at some points in prep, it might be close to 2 hours when you're putting everything together.
Right.
I mean, like my workouts are 45 minutes,
Yeah.
you know.
I think that that's more effective, especially if you're going as often as you are. It would almost be strange if every day you're like, I'm spending 2 hours and I go
Right,
every day, I'd
right.
be like, wait, how's the intensity of that, you know?
Yeah.
So
So
you're
we,
able to be more intense.
they're pretty short and sweet, and I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's working for you, obviously. And now you're in this exciting phase getting ready for a pro season. So, what are your plans if you can share?
Yeah. Okay. So I have been kind of just watching. I was hoping they were going to come out. I saw that NPC posted like the national schedule,
Uh-huh.
but it's not like the only natural one on there I saw was Ben Weider. Um, but you have to qualify for Ben Weider. So I'm assuming that's how that still works. Like I know you had to qualify for Ben Weider the first go around. So I don't know if because I won overall, do I just get to go back to Ben Weider if I want to this year? I would imagine I still have to qualify for it again or
As
no.
a pro?
I don't know how any of that works.
No.
It's all new to me, so I
I
don't
think
know.
as a pro, all you got to do is submit your like contract that you're going to
Okay,
do
okay.
it. I don't think
Well,
there's anything special for that.
okay, okay. Well, I've watched a few of the different like promoters putting
Yeah.
out natural pro shows. And so I was hoping that there was going to be like a just a full list of like
Yeah.
all the natural pro shows that are going to be have bikini pro. And I don't have that yet. So I've just been like writing them
Mhm.
down. So I don't exactly know what we're going to do this year. Obviously, having kids in school and things like that, it's like I have to do shows that make sense for me and my husband and that we're able to do because, when you have to go and stay gone for a while, like through a school week, it gets tough sometimes,
Yeah.
having to find somebody, asking grandparents to help. So I'm sure we'll be sitting down and kind of looking through everything pretty soon and just saying, okay, these are the ones that we're going to shoot for. I would love to go back to Ben Weider. I really enjoyed that show. Just, it was sentimental, but
Oh.
I just liked the show in general. I loved the host hotel. I loved how everything was just like right there. It was really a cool area. I found a lot of cool stuff around.
Yeah.
So I do want to do that one again. But as far as what else, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it will be really awesome to see what else comes out. Like I've kind of been in that waiting period too. I'm like, because we're on the towards the East Coast. I don't know if is Louisiana considered East Coast or just South.
No, it's central.
Okay, so yeah, I'm on the East Coast, and I'm like, when I lived on the West Coast, I saw all the shows like so quickly because Muscle Contest posts them so early.
Right.
But here I'm like, okay, I hope there's gonna be some more. And then
Yeah.
when they made that announcement about all the natural pro shows that are gonna be added, I'm like, I'm really eager to see
Yeah.
when they'll be. And I imagine for you and your husband too, you'd like it to be something where you could do it together, like, or where he could stay and help with the kids and vice
Right.
versa.
So that's something that is to be determined, but
Yeah,
I would like to do Ben Weeder again for sure.
that would be super awesome. I do wonder though if there's gonna be because you know how they have that Pittsburgh Power Fitness Festival.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't remember if that's gonna be a natural pro show or not.
I don't know, but I'm excited to see what all they end up, getting set on and deciding to do.
Me too. Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. So, anyway, all that being said, it's to be determined for you, it sounds like, with the hopes of doing Ben Weider again. Now, I'd like to wrap up every episode by getting best advice. So, what would your best advice be for somebody who has never competed before but wants to? And then, what's your best advice for somebody who's on their road to pro?
I would say my best advice would be to get a coach because if you're anything like me, like you maybe don't know where to start, or even if you are fine to make your own plan, you'll second guess yourself. And it's hard to look at yourself and take the emotion out of it when you're doing check-ins or like trying to be honest. Okay, what needs to change here? You know, what needs to be different? So I would say get a knowledgeable coach. And then on the road to pro, let's see, I would say work on your posing. Like that is still the hardest thing for me. I am it's so hard. Like I need to work on that, but it's like I wish I had started working on that sooner, or I wish I had, I guess, focused on that more, you know. I feel like it's important, you know, like you
Yeah.
work all the you put in all this time to make your body how it needs to be for the stage, but you can get up there and you can't it doesn't always look that way if you don't know how to showcase it and you don't know how to do it smoothly. And so it's like, I mean, I guess what I did this year was good enough, but I know that it needs to improve. And there are
Hmm.
so many girls I watched go up there who it's like, wow, that's just beautiful. And it's like I would think that counts for a lot of it.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that's great advice. And you've shared a lot of good insight, not just from your own journey, but also with fostering. And I'd love for people to follow you, follow your journey, connect with you. So, how can they do that?
I have Instagram and Facebook. I'm probably a lot more active on Instagram than Facebook, but I do have a Facebook. My Instagram is, I think, B_ROW92. So my maiden name is Roland. So it's B_row92.
Amazing. So we'll put that in the show notes page. You guys, that's always on celestial.fit/podcast. If you're listening right away, it'll be at the top of the page. If you're listening in the future, just scroll down to the category section, which is alphabetized. You won't just find the ways to connect with us, but you'll also see a full summary of our episode, a bulleted list of the topics we covered, and episode timestamps so you can go back and listen to your favorite parts or share it with your friends, your family, a teammate. Let them know what resonated with you. And of course, tag us as you listen or reach out. It goes a long way for the athletes when they know that their story was heard and made an impact. And it goes a long way for the podcast when you guys share it. So thank you all so much for tuning in. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode. Just make it awesome.